poked holes in it last night.
Oh, gosh, we've got a special guest on who knows all about the sports world. We're happy to have him on. He's no stranger to most of our audience. He's been a journalist for a long time, ESPN, FoxSportsNews.com, on and on and on. Jason Whitlock, welcome to Word on the Street.
Thanks for having me, guys. No problem.
Great to hear from you, Brother Jason. How are you, sir? Let's start off with, I want to play this clip while my co-host gets it up and running. You're on Tucker Carlson, and you made a comment. You were talking, but there was a part of the comment I want to bring out because no one's really talking about that part. So just it's about 38 seconds.
Work on Black Lives Matters and not see that it's a Marxist political organization. It's not about black death. It's not about black men. It is a political move. It's a communist political move. If for those people that stand on religious values, and this is where I say just the failure of men, I've seen many of these guys, they claim their Christianity and their religious beliefs. Do they understand Black Lives Matter? Communism, Marxism is anti-religious. This is a historic failure of men and leadership. This is cowardice at its highest level.
I wanted to ask you, what did you mean by a failure of men?
Well, I think that people aren't standing on principles, and they're not. There's a clear attack, and this goes beyond Black Lives Matter. There's a clear attack on masculinity, the patriarchy, and for those of us that grew up in the church, for those of us who espouse Christian beliefs or virtually any spiritual beliefs, the attack that's going on patriarchy, masculinity, the political Marxism that's being embraced by young black kids, all of this is an offense to those of us who say we have Christian beliefs, say we believe in the nuclear family and what the Bible prescribes for man in the Bible, what God prescribes for us. All of this is under attack, and the point I'm trying to stress to people, because I think a lot of us don't understand Marxism, don't understand communism and socialism, don't understand who Karl Marx is, and the things that are ideologically instilled within these Marxist movements. They're anti-religious. In communist countries, the state outlaws religion.
Right.
Karl Marx, who created the political ideology of Marxism and communism and socialism, he said religion was the opiate for basically the clueless or for the oppressed, that that religion's like a distraction and it's for fools. And so I just think there's a lot of things afoot here, and just as a man, as someone who I don't fake the beliefs that I say I stand on, I'm going to speak out and raise my hand and be like, hey, man, this is crazy. Y'all know what we're doing here? Right. Is this really what we want to do? Whereas I'm seeing most men just roll over and say, oh, man, I don't want to get on the wrong side of Black Twitter. I don't want my boss mad at me. I don't want corporate America mad at me. And that's why I call a failure of men. Don't talk that. I almost cuss here, but don't talk that smack to me about, what kind of man you are. And, I believe in this, I believe in that. I'm watching men fold. And I'm saying men, I'm watching women fold too.
Right.
That, say they have these beliefs. Everybody's folding. It's a bunch of cowards.
So Jason, you and I are probably very much alike in that I'm a preacher's kid. My beliefs come before anything. I stand on those. And I wondered, because I don't self-identify as a Democrat or Republican. I'm a nothing. My faith is numero uno. How about you? Are you a Democrat? Are you a Republican? Are you an independent?
I don't participate in politics. I've never voted, ever. I don't let anybody try to politically identify me. And I completely agree with you in terms of we've gotten away from our Christian identity, or whatever your religion is, your religious identity, your faith in a higher power, your submission to a higher power. We've gotten away from identifying that way, and we've gotten away from evaluating life through that lens. We evaluate everything through a political lens. How does this fit with my political affiliation? I consider myself a liberal, so I evaluate everything through that liberal perspective. Or I consider myself a conservative. I evaluate everything through the conservative perspective. We've gotten away from, I'm a Christian, I'm going to first and foremost address, analyze situations based off of my Christian identity and the beliefs that I espouse and were instilled in me and I embraced as a child or as an adult or at some point. We've gotten away from that, and we're totally caught up in our political identity. I talk with my family about this all the time. I've, asked my mother many, many times, my mother's proud member, 25th Street Baptist Church, goes to church every Sunday, Bible study on Wednesday.
Right.
But I'm like, Mama, you say Trump far more than you ever say Jesus.
Wow.
Trump and Obama, that's to you, that's God and Jesus. That's Mary and Joseph, Trump and Obama. That's all you talk about. Just count. Ask yourself, count during the day, how many times you say Trump or Obama, how many times you say Jesus. You're obsessed with politics.
Right.
We're talking to
Point.
Jason Whitlock, fresh off an interview with Tucker Carlson that's getting a lot of play, criticizing the basically the leadership in sports,
the NFL
the NFL and the NBA. Now, I want to ask you. Of course, most people may know you too, also from ESPN, and now you're with Outkick.com. But when you were in ESPN, and you always were very expressive, did your departure from ESPN have anything to do with the way you talk right now?
No, I think that, people ask me that all the time. I think that if you go look at my work at the Kansas City Star and judge any of it, it's consistent with what I say and do today. What I am a bit more confident about, but again, it's in my work previously. For 25 years I was writing a column. You can go, I wrote a column when my grandmother died about, how she brought me to God and, how instrumental, the most important person in my life was my mother's mother. No question. And I wrote about it then. I'm just more comfortable standing on that and talking about it a bit more now because I finally have reached a point where my actual life is more consistent with the values that I express.
That's beautiful.
Jason Whitlock was and still is a sinner. I think I'm less of one now than I was then.
Jason, I was laughing at something you retweeted. Speaking of sinner, it looks like when people try to poke fun at you in reference to maybe something they heard in the past, you just retweeted. You got me. Somebody.
Yeah, guilty as charged. Yeah, there's no question. Listen, I am Jimmy Whitlock's son. My father owned in the city, and my father was a good-looking guy that liked the ladies.
Okay.
And I am definitely his son, and I had some growing up to do. But the seeds that were planted in me at 25th Street Baptist Church by my grandmother and Pastor James E. Odom and the rest of my family, they've just fully have taken more root. And so I'm just more comfortable with knowing exactly who I am, why I believe the things that I do, why I've always been saying the same things. I just say them a bit more forcefully and from a more informed fashion now.
Absolutely. And that's why I've always loved you from your Kansas City Star days. Again, Jason is now at Outkick.com, so please go see him there. You have a great article on there today about Kelly Loeffler. We're talking about her. She's our Georgia senator and the WNBA. We talked about it a little bit. I want to get more of your perspective on what's going on with her because I don't think she said anything wrong.
No, she didn't say anything wrong. She just raised some legitimate points and some legitimate questions about Black Lives Matter. We have to quit anybody that disagrees with us. We just want to paint them as racist. And that to me says, hey, you know what? I'm so intellectually weak, I can't debate you, so I'm just going to call you racist. That way I don't have to engage with you. I don't have to answer these questions. It's silly and stupid. The woman raised some legitimate questions. to be honest with you, I'd never heard of her until this controversy, but I was so proud, like, oh, look, somebody's standing up.
Right.
Somebody not backing down and bowing to this social media mob. It's
What do you think?
I'm glad to see someone show some of these other people how to stand up and be a grown woman.
Right. What is your answer or your response? The WNBA Players Association tweeted out, "Enough, get out," basically. And this is an owner of a team. What do you say to that?
It's ridiculous because enough, get out for what? For disagreeing with you?
Right.
This is a form of bigotry and a feeling of superiority. It's like the roles have reversed. I mean, what these athletes and some of these black celebrities are like, you're not allowed to disagree with them. And if you are, we kick you out of polite society. That's ridiculous. It's embarrassing that we've gotten to this point, and it goes back to just how secular we have become.
Absolutely. God
has been taken out of everything, and so everybody's like, man, I ain't got no morals and principles no more. We live in a very secular society, and so I can just do whatever the hell I want, whatever the hell I feel, because my politics tell me so.
Right. And Jason, before we let you go, when I was on quarantine, I had a 2-week quarantine, and the team here was asking me what I was reading, and I told them, and they laughed at me. I was reading Booker T. Washington, Up for Slavery, that I probably know verbatim since the time I was little. And I know that you relate to that because my father, too, is a Booker T. Washington man. Why do you like Booker T. so much?
Well, because Booker T was about self-sufficiency, and that's really the solution. If people are really looking for a solution to racism, it's self-sufficiency. A person who can take care of themselves and take care of their family without having to look for others to help them, that person will not be impacted by racism.
Absolutely.
Or is a lot less likely to be impacted by racism than someone who is in constant need and needs white people to take care of them, white people to give them a job. Booker T, just like my father was about, my father built a black life. In his little piece of heaven, he built a bar in the inner city. He built a brand-new home in the inner city. My father grew up at a time where he experienced some really horrible racist tragedies. He didn't like white people. So he built his own business to serve black people,
right.
Moved into the black community, and just had a black existence. He dealt with the people he liked.
Right.
That's Booker T. Washington. We got a bunch of people sitting on TV that
Jason,
want to make things better in their white community because they're the only black person living in this community, and they want everybody in their community to love them and kiss their ass.
Right.
And,
we got to go. Jason, we got to let him go. We got to let you go, brother. We got to let you go. We got to go to a break and go off the air at 8 o'clock. Man, we appreciate you, brother. You got an open door policy here. You can come on anytime. Find Jason Whitlock at Outkick.com.